With Season 1 here, I wanted to take a bit of time to touch on our normal and seasonal best weapons discussion that we do normally, but here for XDefiant. Where do the new weapons slot into the grand scheme of play? What weapons move up and down the power rankings? Today, I want to share my top 5, and then some honorable mentions here of best weapons and classes in XDefiant Season 1. Drop your thoughts as we go along. If you've got a build you'd like to share, feel free to, and of course, if you enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like on it, and make sure to subscribe for more XDefiant and other FPS coverage. We've got a lot up on deck still when it comes to Season 1 and beyond, so I'd love to have you in the community. Finally, my friends over at Gamer Advantage are running a 24% off site-wide discount where code Espresso can stack to get you 34% off your entire order, but more on that a little later. For now, let's get into it. So first and foremost, what changed in regards to the weapon tuning? Kind of hilariously, next to nothing. I'd imagine a weapon balancing update is somewhere in the near future, maybe like a month or so out, but while not a whole ton has changed in terms of weapon balancing wise, our last discussion of weaponry was like 3 days into the game's life cycle, and frankly, some of the weaponry discussed, while very situationally standout, might not be the best choice overall for weaponry, so I still think it's valid to have this discussion here, and plus, a lot of the weapons I was using back then aren't the main 5 I'm using today. So let's talk about those main weapons. First and foremost, the AK is still absolutely one of my top contenders for the best rifle, probably the best rifle in my opinion. When it comes to hard-hitting rifles, this absolutely can take the cake, plus you can end up kitting it out so it has decent mobility, decent reload speed, and of course, mitigating a lot of the recoil and extending that damage range a little further. For this, I'd recommend something like the compensator, chrome-lined. I like to use the pistol front rail for lowering that sprint to fire time, though you can end up sacrificing that for something if you want like better control. You can use a different grip to mitigate vertical or horizontal recoil. I use the reflex optic, and then I use the fast mags. A lot of people will end up trying to use extended mags. I personally don't think that the extra 15 rounds makes as much a difference as having that reload speed and being able to take multiple gunfights in a short period of time, especially if you can end up reloading as fast as possible. But I love this thing. I would absolutely recommend that. Next, the ACR is a solid number 2 in my opinion. I still love this weapon. I've been going back and forth between a couple of different builds, though the one that I was using, it slows down your mobility a decent bit. Like, I kind of have to consciously think about swapping to my secondary anytime I want to get from point A to point B a little bit quicker, but then pulling out my weapon again to end up taking that gunfight. But for this, I'd recommend the chrome line barrel, the reflex optic, the fast mag, the grip tape for added recoil recovery, that recenter speed here, as well as vertical recoil control, and the precision stock for added horizontal and vertical recoil control. With this, you don't have to really do too much in terms of managing the recoil with your right thumbstick. It just kind of does the work and staying steady for you. You're gonna, of course, have to pull down a little bit, but not nearly as much as if you, say, kit it out for mobility or something like that. Next, the MP7 is still absolutely in my top 5 weapons here. It is what I think is still the best SMG. That might be up for debate depending on if you like the P90 or something better. That we'll talk about in a second. But the MP7 is one that is incredibly mobile, can pack a punch, and you can actually still keep the damage going to a relatively decent distance when it comes to an SMG's range. So for that, mobility, mag size, reload speed, damage range, I love it and I'd highly recommend it. For this, I'd recommend the chrome line barrel to extend that short and medium range, the pistol front rail again for that quicker sprint to shoot time, and tightening up that hip fire spread if necessary, which if on maps like Arena, that can come in handy pretty quickly. The magazine, I'd recommend the fast mag, again, just giving you that quickest possible reload time, then the quick draw rear grip for added ADS speed and sprint to shoot time, and the lightweight stock for a bit more in that mobility category, increasing that movement speed and ADS walking speed. Now, you're not going to end up having anything that really mitigates the recoil here at this, but again, it's something that's actually pretty easy to control by itself. So just take a little bit of time in the practice range, work on pulling down your right thumbstick in sustained fire, and it's going to be one that can absolutely pack a punch. Next, the M16 is such a dangerous weapon still, I think. This is one that whenever we talked about our last top 5 weapons, it wasn't really one that I actually loved. I recognized the deadly potential that it had, but it just at the time wasn't something that really fit my playstyle too well. But now, I'm loving it. Honestly, the one thing that I'd say is probably a recommended attachment more than anything else is that muzzle booster. I played around with a couple of builds recently, seeing if I should tune anything or tweak a build here or there to add more recoil mitigation. But while it is nice to have something that's a laser pointer and just dead center, you don't have to really worry too much about the recoil, that burst delay was so much more noticeable than before. So for this, I'd recommend the muzzle booster, the chrome lined barrel to increase that short and medium range, the reflex optic, the fast mag, mag, and then the precision stock, giving you a little bit of everything here at this. I sacrificed previously the front rail of the pistol grip for a bit more mobility on that for the precision, so that I could kind of get a middle ground between some of the builds that I was using for like a really fast but kind of bouncy build in terms of firing, for something that's a bit more mid-ground and offers a bit more recoil mitigation. So for that, I'd recommend that build, and it's been working out pretty nicely, I think, for me. Now, here's the final of the top 5 we'll talk about explicitly. This one might still be in the honeymoon phase, but I've really been enjoying thus far in Season 1, the new LVOA. Now, the L115, this new one for the snipers, it's nice that it's a new sniper and it's something that's a nice mid-ground between the M44 and the TAC-50, but not everyone may be a sniper, and it's a little further into the battle pass, so you might not experience it still for a little bit. The sawed-off shotgun, great as a secondary, but like, I'll favor a primary over a 2-shot secondary any day of the week for me. So again, with that being tier 80 of the battle pass, that's a bit off the radar for me. But the LVOA, it's a closer quarters M4, and honestly, when I first started with it, I thought it was kind of a pea shooter. But if you can kit this thing out, you can kit it so it ends up having more ammunition, it kits it out for a bit more recoil control. It is a real menace up close. Again, while you can do damage at a distance, it's not favorable there. So I'd say this is like the rifle you'd want to use in a closer quarters map like Arena. Or is Rockefeller still in the game? I don't know if it was something that was accidentally added in as of yesterday's update, but then removed. I haven't seen it since then. But if you get those smaller size maps, this is where it's absolutely going to thrive. For this, I'd recommend the stabilizing barrel for increasing that horizontal and vertical recoil control. The super light to give you a bit more ADS speed and movement speed, so you're not bogged down as a overall just rifle build that's a little slower than like an SMG. The reflex optic, the extended mags is absolutely crucial because it does have a faster fire rate than the M4, but you're going to burn through ammo if you don't have that equipped. And then the precision stock to add more horizontal and vertical recoil control. Again, that fast fire rate, that sheer amount of round output, you're going to create some bounce in the gun. So that's something you want to mitigate, that first and foremost. The rest, that fire rate, that damage of a rifle round, it'll do the rest for you, and it will get you a ton of kills as you continue to play. So that I'd highly recommend. Now, of course, that's just my personal top 5. Is it the be-all, end-all? Absolutely not. There's still a plenty number of great honorable mentions out there. The P90, still love that gun. I've honestly been playing a lot with it, but it's just, if you're trying to do a top 5, there's only so many you can fit in a top 5. Naturally. The P90, I still have a blast playing around with. The L115 for snipers, when you finally unlock it, it is a very solid mid-ground sniper rifle between, again, the M44 and the TAC-50. The Mark 20 SSR, if you're somebody that has pinpoint precise aiming, it can help you out tremendously as well. But again, you want to make sure that you are precise because that delay between shots can get you killed if you're not accurate. And the M4A1 still, honestly, I don't think is all that bad, again, for medium range play. I wouldn't take it the challenge like long range, and the LVOA absolutely beats it out now when it comes to close range, but it does still have some potential in regards to mid-range gunfights. So there's, of course, a lot of honorable mentions you can still play around with. There's definitely some great choices that we didn't mention explicitly in our class builds, but that is where we're going to wrap it up. That's my personal top 5 classes. I'd love to get your thoughts down below on what you think your top 5 classes are. But before we wrap everything up, for a short window of time here, Gamer Advantage has a site-wide 24% off discount where code Espresso can stack to give you 34% off your entire order for the 4th of July here in the States. But the deal is available for anywhere they end up shipping their glasses. That's one of the best discounts we've seen of the year so far. But if you guys want to check out what I firmly believe are the best blue light glasses on the market, now is as best the time as any. I've worked with these guys for over 3 years and cannot recommend them enough. The most lightweight, comfortable, and durable frames on the market as far as I've used, and I definitely think they've helped my daily productivity. Now, full transparency, even with this discount, they are a bit of an investment, but I do think your vision is absolutely worth investing into. And again, with 34% off your entire order, it's the best deal they've had in a little while. So if you're like me, looking at a monitor, phone, or gaming for a good chunk of the day, I personally think it's worth investing into your vision health. But if you guys would like to learn more, at the very least, I'd recommend checking out their website where they can better break down the science and all the specifics way better than I could. But what I can personally say is that, again, through 3 years of working with them, I've loved every second of it, believe in their product. But if you want to check it out, link in the description below. And if you want to pick something up for yourself, use code Espresso to get 34% off your entire order. But for now, that's what we're going to call it. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things XDefiant Season 1 and so much more FPS content coming beyond this. I'd love to have you in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.